we need the women passion.
Embrace the controversy. Nobody should play it safe.
Women know how to do the work, but we don't know how to put ourselves forward.
Because the biggest predictor of what succeeds today is what succeeded yesterday.
Yes. There's so much potential in Nollywood that I feel like is still untapped.
There was a who are you people and how dare you think that you can do this thing that you decided to do.
Ogowala Maje breakfast.
Word was that.
And things are not fine in the industry, but they'll get better. Hi, welcome everybody to Inkblot Interviews.
Wow, you sound so sad. I mean, is it because there's no guest?
Yes, now I'm tired of talking to people. I talk to you yesterday.
I'm sorry.
Today.
Yeah,
Okay.
So please do it.
Welcome everybody to Inkblot Interviews with Zulu and Naz. Hey! Okay. Let's see. I don't know.
That was a little bit too much.
Too much?
Yeah, so like.
Hi everyone, welcome to Meet and Greet with your anchors. Damola, Naz and Zulu.
You know, this like in movies, according alphabetically.
Yes, let nobody.
Naz and Zulu.
Right. You know how you have to do those things.
Yes, contractually obligated.
After all, somebody has come for a neck before on top of these things.
I see some people have started bringing out knife already.
You see, because the topic for today is
industry controversy.
Controversy sells.
In the industry.
In life.
Okay. Life and its controversies.
Controversy.
So I guess what we wanted to do, I mean, this is our first solo episode, and since you guys have been refusing to send us emails to img@ink-blot.tv, we have decided, I know, right? We have decided to pretend that you have been sending us emails and are now answering those
Naz, you don't
emails.
say your pretense. You don't lead with your pretense.
No, we have to
you
see.
pretend that you
But actually, one of the ways we can actually solve this problem is that rather than sending an email, in the comment section, if there's something you would like us to know, a topic you would like us to bring up, why don't you just put it down in the comments? So in any one of our episodes, go in there and tell us, hey, would you guys like to interview so and so? Or I would like to get your opinion on X and Y. You know, those kind of things. It's a lot easier for us to find. And
mailbox.
You know, all you people that are above 40 is email that you do, right about now. We just go to the comment section, DM.
However you feel. Just
But I mean, Google Mail is not free. I mean, people should be sending us email. Let us know that the mailbox is working. But it also, yes,
the
comments.
point is just let us know. However you do.
I think comments are the easiest and the best way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let us know what's going on.
Yeah.
So what's our first controversial topic?
No, but it's not, I mean, the point is not necessarily to controversy in that sense, but Zulu made a very interesting point, which is about credits, right? So how do you assign credits for Nollywood? We avoided it in Wedding Party 1 by doing in alphabetical order, because because we had a whole host of different people, and negotiating credits was something that was very difficult. Yeah. So how do you negotiate
especially
credits?
in this industry where you, or not industry, in our culture, where there is age and there is ageism, and there is a thing where you must respect your elders and those who came before.
I've been in the industry longer than you, I'm a superstar.
Even when you bring a veteran on that is only like doing maybe 2 or 3 scenes, still integral to the story.
They are not the lead character.
You're not the lead character. How do you credit such a
so you do it by alphabetical order. Basically, your name better not start with Z like Zulu, because you always be at the bottom, no matter if you were the star of the group.
So and it's something that, so historically, I mean, we've done some films where the script supervisor or the first AD, they do the call sheet. So based on the importance of the roles, we see that like, hey, please, you don't have anybody to call us, and then we've had to rejig the call sheet.
So you know the way sometimes when you're doing that kind of stuff, what's that software again that you guys use?
Scheduling.
The scheduling software. Movie Magic, right? Basically breaks down the entire script according to scenes, and then we now put it together so it can be according to locations, according to characters, and all of those things. But it basically calculates how much one person is doing.
And then it just orders it in that
Then it puts it in that order. So if you're in all the scenes, the software will basically say this is the most important person in this movie.
However,
you now have a veteran of 20 years in the industry that has done Asaba, that has done Yoruba, that has been to TIFF, that has done this. You now want to put that person. That person is only in 2 scenes. You now want to say, I will not be number 1.
the person now be like number 17.
No, it doesn't
Number 8.
You'll be on the next page of the call sheet. And then Wahala now starts.
So, and it's important, I guess, the reason why you do that is that, like, people do deserve their dues and their flowers, etc. So one of the ways you do it is that you use the with and the and credits to basically separate it. But
Yeah, but that's even on the, so, well, that's obviously what we're talking about. But like, I'm just even saying the people that are practitioners in the industry and how they've come for us on Twitter. We know you, we see your tweets. And you've gone to speak to your fellow actors and actresses to discuss how people should not disrespect them.
Yes, it's disrespect.
I mean, the thing is that from set, I feel like everyone should. I think this is just life, right? That you are so and so number of years in the industry doesn't mean you will never be lead. You're just not lead on this one.
Yeah.
Right. I think just take your credit. But
I mean, when you read the script and then you realize that who does the story revolve around? Most times when you read the script, right, you figure out that
because it's also important to the upcoming artists or the newer entry.
Yeah.
I mean, that you're not lead in this film doesn't make you less of a person.
Yeah.
Or less your career less of a shooting star.
I mean, and I guess one of the things that is happening is that with the rise of ensemble films, I think that is also becoming less important in a weird way.
I think that one is the problem, Gongo. Because an ensemble film, you don't want to get lost in the mix.
Yes, but that's more of a character thing rather than a billing thing. So think about it, right? So take almost any ensemble film that has, so like the Wedding Party is a good example, right? So we did our alphabetical order, right? To escape the credit part.
Yeah, but that's credit, but for
the character.
For the poster and all of those things.
Yes, no.
So if you know, credit, for example, the credit one is in the movie itself, and that's usually at the end.
Yeah.
Right? But if you look at something like the opening credits of the movie, what do you put when you are showing?
Is that alphabetical order?
That's just the way to save your head.
When you are doing the poster,
You put everybody on the poster, so you
yes, you put everybody on the poster, but where does my name show up? But we know we entered trouble on that one. Or my name.
I mean, that's I think why we even stop putting names at the top.
So it depends, and that is the honest truth. Right? So because all of these things matter. So and I think that's one of the things that we also need to acknowledge. That's why I'm saying manage it, because we too we know it matters. That's why we are saying manage it.
But then it matters to both people. It matters to the upcoming artist as well.
No, it matters to us.
Yeah.
And so we are making a value judgment, are we not?
Okay, so
Yes.
can we also now separate according to social media followers? So basically,
Wow.
yes, now.
No, but I disagree with that completely.
What if before the film is released, after you've done poster, something controversial happens?
Because I don't think social media matters to the degree in terms of amplification. I don't think that.
But it does to a certain extent. But if you look at it compared to Hollywood and co, right, where the bulk of their media for movies is your TV, radio, billboards, and all of that, ours, the bulk of our budget for marketing ends up on Facebook and Instagram. So let me ask, who would I much rather use to push this my movie? Is it you, veteran, but you only have 2,000 followers or 200K followers, or you, up and coming artist that has 1 million, 3 million followers?
So here's my take on that, right? I think that you can develop content for both. Let me give you a simple example, right? There's a trailer that I
No, but it's not developing content.
It is not.
It's the credit.
The credit.
No,
that question is this. Okay, so let me ask you a question. I have a movie like, okay, let me even just throw this one out there since we're already talking about it.
Wow.
Yes, now, definitely Nevada, for example. Right? You know the rabid fan base that Erica has, right? With the elites and all of that. Now, if I was going to market that movie, I'll put Erica, even if she's not the lead in the movie, I will almost make it seem as if she's the lead or an important character in the movie, which I know she is, so that the elite can get on board, and that will drive my top of mind engagement and top of mind awareness.
So should I use? There's this thing in the Chinese
Rather than Jill Kosoko.
that they used to call.
Sorry, who's the
No, it's not. It's
sorry, it's not Jill Kosoko.
It's the lead in Your Excellency. Who is also
Akin Lewis.
Or rather than Akin Lewis, for example.
But yes, but Akin Lewis was the lead. in Your Excellency, and that did it on 8 million. So my
that was because of Funke Akindele.
no, I know, but my
Who had
yes, but their
how many million
dance
followers?
went viral irrespective of his. So my point is like I don't necessarily think it's that prescriptive, but what I would say is that one thing that has happened across the board is people's fans are not fools. If you put somebody in a movie and they're barely in it and you do the entire market capping around them, they will not show up. In China,
they will show up that weekend.
no,
They might not show up after that
in China, even have a name for it. It's called soy sauce, where a Hollywood movie sprinkles a Chinese celebrity on the film and tries to confuse them. They are not confused anymore.
We need the soy sauce.
No, so I disagree with soy sauce as a thing, as a principle.
I will not
the actual soy
I will
sauce.
bring up the one of 12 years a slave, where this is a movie about Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Brad Pitt was
is
7
in
minutes
it,
of the
was
movie.
in only 7 minutes, but when they're going to sell it in Italy, the poster had Brad Pitt. Then
So let's take a step back, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with the premise that as a producer, your role is to sell the film, no
what's best for your
matter,
movie.
no matter how you offend the sensibilities.
Because guess what? This is a product.
If I don't make money back, I can't hire you
No, but
again.
however,
Yes.
right? The corollary is that leads to a conservatism that is bad.
Wait, they're going to have to write the definition of colon. Whatever that was is.
So basically, Will Smith had this post about Independence Day 20th anniversary. Is Zulu cracking up because she can't spell corollary. So
Of course I
I still can't pronounce it. Let me just leave it alone.
So here's the thing, right? Will Smith was cast in Independence Day in 1996 or 5 or whatever, when they were shooting the movie.
Yeah.
The audience he had at the time was music and TV, right?
Yes.
The studio apparently was like, black people cannot sell international gross. This is an international blockbuster, blah, blah, blah. The writer, producer, director actually threatened to walk away if they didn't sign him to the lead. He was the lead and the rest is history. That's what I'm saying. So that conventional wisdom of marketing this way, I also think is wrong because you cannot predict these things to the extent, yes, your history is a whatever, but Will Smith basically became a global star off the fact that those movies, because as he said, he did a thing on Instagram that he traveled based on music, right, internationally. So the idea that black people don't travel was wrong.
No, so I'm not denying that. I'm not validating that one. What I'm
saying is that it's the same argument about what sells movies.
Yes.
Even now,
you always just look at your audience.
Look at your audience.
Because the example you gave, for instance, China or rather Asia and 12 Years a Slave and Brad Pitt, nobody knew who Chiwetel was in that.
That's context. So you use
but you see, here's the thing, right? So that Italian exhibitor or distributor who bought those rights, that was afraid of his risk, right? That's my point. Like, he took the conservative path. That's not necessarily the right path, is my point. You should not necessarily assume that the conservative path is the right path.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So the marketing thing errs towards the conservativeness of it.
No, it's not necessarily.
But you know how much money we're talking about?
No, but you see, you
So
have
look at
to
it now.
be willing to
If you
take
spend,
the risk.
so think about it. I spent 50 million on this movie.
Yeah.
Whether actor is veteran, whether it's up and coming, I've paid this actor. So basically, the actor really has no skin in the game. After the movie has been made,
No, I agree with that.
Wait, I'm just saying, is that the actor has minimal skin in the game in the sense that I want this movie to be successful because it blows up my profile.
That's a lot of stuff.
That's
Yes,
because
but-
they are trusting you that the product will work for them.
But what I'm telling you is this: if the product doesn't work, actor moves on to next project. But me, on the other hand, that's 50 million down.
So yes, no, so that's what drives the conservatism.
So there's 50 million down. Then I now have to spend maybe say another 10 million on marketing. So great, 60 million in the whole. And right about now, I'm looking at it and I'm asking myself, out of the money that the cinema is going to make, I'm only going to make what?
35%.
35% of that back. So guess what? The movie has to make somewhere around 200 million or 180 million for me to bring back
from cinema, yes, okay.
So guy, at this particular point in time, my eye is hot. My eye clear. I will pick who out of all of these people can sell me.
No, but you see, and that's what I'm saying, and that's why I decide, and that is what drives the conservatism of the industry.
That's conservative.
It is now because
Right about that is desperation. Though.
no, because that risk aversion means that you do not open yourself up to the most to new thinking, because what you want in that scenario is what has worked before, is what I want to do into the future.
I think you can be as risky as possible in the sense that, for example, I might do the soy sauce, whatever, which is risky in the sense that I have, what do you call it? This movie has an Asian in it or Brad Pitt in it for only 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to try and fool the audience into showing
That's the conservatism now, because you are worried that if you give them something completely new, they will not accept it. That's the conservatism.
Let me ask one question.
Mm-hmm.
After this example about black people and all of that, when Marvel itself did how many white movie before they did one black movie?
And that's the conservatism we're talking about.
Yes.
But do you see, they got you to like them off the back. Imagine if Marvel had done Black Panther first.
No, you don't know that now, because remember the first Marvel movie was
But then
Blade.
because we don't know.
Blade was what?
But then
by
that's so nice,
80
because we don't know.
Are you
Because we don't know.
No, I don't know.
We can't also say that they were wrong.
That thing was a trap.
In 1990, when the
No,
Marvel
that thing was a
Flats,
trap. That thing was a trap. That thing was a trap, because I knew he was going to say Blade. And Blade was not by the present Marvel.
No, but it's set up. My point is like, if there was no Blade, there's no Spider-Man or X-Men.
No.
Yes.
No. Because Blade was even a minor character that people today don't even know that Blade was even a Marvel character. People don't even know that Blade is a comic book character.
So again, my point
But exactly.
is this.
I was just telling you audience that we'll come back.
So we're not going to get into the fun
Should I jump into John Wick next?
No.
So the point for me is this. We have to be able, and there's nothing wrong with the conservatism of marketing. That's why we're all here, right? Because people need to come and see your movie.
Well, there's something wrong, but it's a little thing.
But I do not believe that should be the primary driver of decision making, right? Because you have to be willing. So, like, look at a movie like New Money, right? Where normally people do a lot of the movies that people do, the lead has to be a star. Because in theory, right, who are the people that are going to convert, who's going to follow, etc. Mm-hmm. But you can take chances and say, okay, the lead is going to be a Jemima, right? Yeah. And you can market it around her. Of course, yes, you have the people like Fowles, etc.
But we built up a cast of people around Jemima that made it interesting. Even the posters, if I remember, was Jemima standing in the middle, and then you had Ketenshaw on one side pulling out one way, and Dakori on the other side pulling out the other way. So I had two established actresses that people like, and then someone that is new.
So my point is so that's my point. So the market, so that's what I'm saying. So like that is the power of and, not all. Yes. Like you mix the conservatism with the new. You can't just be fully conservative. It can't work.
Oh, of course, and I don't think we are.
No, Damola wants us to be. Damola wants to.
I mean, he's still the one that designed the
Damola will tell us that, please.
He just have put that.
No, trust me, because usually every single time I want to design poster, I'm like, there are a lot of names on this poster. What do I need to put all of this?
Yes,
can we just? There's always that whatever. Yes. Can we just do 3, 4 people? Why must I now do 8? You now see some posters, and I'm not call one that happens to happen in the village. But they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, and I'm like, oh, wow.
So I think that you are right. Where we also, because we are also in a market where we are requiring individual people to convert their own audience. That's also happening, right? So you need people to identify with people that are in the film as well.
I think what we have done, and I think we will continue to do, is the thing where we push out directors. We push out, the names, because prior to, let me put this on.
No, but I know what you're going to say, but it's not necessarily true. But go on.
No, but
tell them. Like just wait, man, get up. 9/10 is 1/10.
I don't exactly know any other production companies or production houses before we started that was doing that, a film by credit for directors. So is that wrong?
Yes, it is, because it's there. So like my point is you wouldn't a lot of the earlier ones, it's all films like this. So they push the directors and the producers. So like my point is you
which year?
No, my point they mentioned both. No. They mentioned both the directors and the producers and the marketers. But everybody joined in the soup now.
No.
That's how
they directed. You know who directed.
No, but I just feel like Lancelot.
Even under titles, right?
No. So my point is the fight for credit has always existed. So we talk about the fight for credit for cast. in the fight for credit exists even for the creatives behind it. So the producers, the directors, and the distributors or the marketers also all have their own credit brouhaha. So I guess what I would say is true, not necessarily is that like we were really comfortable with letting the directors be seen as the face of our films.
Yeah, and the point.
That's where I would put it, not necessarily the film by thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go with the way you put it for the cameras. However, the point really is that we need more than just the actors to push a film. We need people to actually identify with people that work behind the scenes in doing, in creating these films. Because in the end, this is why we'll keep having all this angst with the actors. I mean, it would never stop it, to be honest. But when you have the added followership of directors and of production companies and all of that.
There's some directors today that if you call, even without you knowing the name of the project, but you can basically say, this director is doing a movie and people are already lining up at cinema to do that. So you got like your Kemi, you got your knee, you've got your Ademola, this like that Tommy Hilfiger poster where he was like, these are the 4 biggest designers in the world, and they put Calvin Klein, whatever, and the last one was himself. Although he was a nobody. And he was a fill in the blank. So you build Calvin Klein, this other one. Like, who's this one? It was his most iconic billboard in the world where no one knew who the last guy was. But because you saw him with 3 other guys, they're like, hey.
So I think that's the whole thing about why they say everybody should come in media company. In the sense of like, so what I guess they mean everybody should build their own brands, right?
But that's what they say now. Before it was always everyone should be a marketer. You need marketing to be able to move.
Oh yes, but marketing now has a bad name. So it's now, so they now say
so it's now you are
branded. Yeah, so everybody has to basically build their own followership, their 1,000 true fans and all that stuff. You have to think of yourself as a product. So it's the whole tech thing, like everything is a product, right? So
I don't know if I really enjoy this life, the way life is going. To be honest,
Zulu, you want influencer money.
You have to.
So
yes, I really enjoy this way life is going.
You really enjoy this because you want influencer money.
But I think one of the difficulties of that path is that it assumes that everybody has to
become a dancing monkey.
Yes, but not necessarily that, because it's how do you intersect that, in the sense that if I were you, right, and I'm like, okay, I need to build out X, so I need to build out the Inkblot brand, I need to build out the Ademola director brand, I need to build out the Zulu brand of industry magnate or whatever it is, right? Normally, like, you are now having to make yourself like out there, like you have to start. Everybody is now chasing the I need people to know me, I need people to see me, I need to represent, I need to tell my own story. So,
well, I mean, I know that's definitely stronger it's a stronger need for women, to be honest, to just be more visible. But then beyond that, everybody just needs to be more visible, just because this is where life is going.
But if everybody is visible, nobody is.
Well, then let's get there, then we'll now start to rebrand again.
Talking about visibility.
For women?
Yes, for women. You're doing this IWIF thing.
Yes.
So what's IWIF about? Sorry, let me even explain. So what is not women in film about?
No, it's not about me, it's I woman in film.
Yes.
Oh, it's I woman in film. Oh, sorry.
Woman.
Woman in film. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
This is us just letting you know that we've changed the name from what he said.
Sorry, just
so
ignore it.
Says I woman in film.
So I woman
basically, IWIF is just a community of women coming together to do something remarkable, something great for the industry. And for ourselves, to protect ourselves against. I mean, we know that things are happening. From where we sit, we know the things that are happening, right? And we know that when things start to happen, the men start to come. We're here to position ourselves properly.
No, but what
do you mean that the men start to come in? Like what
I'm just letting you.
What are the men doing?
This is subs. I'm subbing you guys.
That the men start to come in.
But okay.
No, but that's actually a valid point, right? In the sense that
let's not dwell on it so that men will not know what we're doing.
No, but
it's okay.
No, but let me ask you a question.
So what kind of this group? What is it doing? Are you like an action group? Is there any level of activism going on?
Yes. So that's what it's about. The point is for us to build the industry, right? There's so much potential in Nollywood that I feel like it's still untapped, and it's really because of our lack of structure, the way we're fragmented, and all of that. And the idea behind iWeave is really just to work towards building this industry, giving it some structure. The way I like to say it is, sure you say women are the ones that are supposed to be home takers, home carers, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, these are
sexist people that are
oh,
saying
please. This is our goal,
Please, I
right?
want my amala first thing in the morning, and then I want my pounded yam.
Don't
Late
worry,
at night,
we'll
before
give
I
it
go
to
to
you.
bed.
the fresh soup, I mean.
We'll
Yes.
give it to you.
The
Don't
first
worry.
soup, I don't like microwave soup.
We'll give it to you, ma worry. But all of us, gbogbo wa la ma jẹ breakfast. We'll all eat it together. It's not like we'll be serving it to you alone. All of us will serve ourselves.
Alright.
That's the idea. So basically, yeah, that's what IMF is about. And it's just a community of women. We're supporting ourselves. We're pushing ourselves forward. Women are doing fantastic things in the industry already, as we know. Top 5 films, women produced all 5.
Yeah.
Some men are in there somewhere, like you guys.
This erasure
Some men are in there
I think they
somewhere.
supported you, they supported you.
Wow.
All the top 5 films are produced by women.
So, I saw your post the other day on Instagram about the Baba Jesha, the Awolowo, and the Akpan thing. So this one, you can't get around this, so microphone.
No, it's not, it's a very unfortunate thing, to be honest, because I think that particular issue, sexual harassment, molestation, rape, and what it does for women, what it means for a woman is so different from what it means for men. And it's so glaring in the way people have reacted to that particular issue. And this, again, a minor is involved. This is pedophilia at its most glaring. And yet, if you even see the people that came out to stand up for that girl, to stand up for Princess, her guardian, it was the women. Very few men put in a word into this conversation. And that's super unfortunate because it's the women, it's the men. Right now, we're still in that patriarchal society. So, it's really men that are listened to. And then when the women talk, they are silenced. It's about disrespect. Who cares what your ego is? Tampan and co. Who cares? This is not about you. This is not about your ego. This is not about your. We're talking about Baba Ejesha raping, molesting a minor. And people are speaking up about it. Iyabo has told her story, and I'm sorry to repeat it, but she's told it, it's out there. Iyabo herself has been raped 5 times. So you can imagine where that woman is coming from when she's talking. And then unfortunately for the Tampan body and the Yoruba industry, they decide that they will do what they decided to do. The men are not talking to themselves to just act right for once and stay on the side.
I totally agree with you about that, in the sense that if you had that much energy to come after Iyabo, please show that same kind of energy or twice that much.
And that's
for
what
Baba Ejesha.
that's what there's the Baba Ejesha issue. They've even said, okay, let us leave it. They're going to court. This guy has confessed. He's on tape.
Yeah.
They actually had to set this girl up again, the victim.
Yeah.
A minor. They had to actually put her there as bait again for her to live through the nonsense, just so that people as foolish as Yomi Fabi would shut up. Yet he did not shut up.
Made a movie about
He still made a movie about it.
Yeah.
When he then, because the way he did it was kind of like a parody movie of the whole thing, and then it's like this is the
And then he used real names of the people that were talking to him, people we have disagreements with over this issue. Why would you have a disagreement over this issue? How do you disagree?
So I mean, and I think that like that, just as you said, it lays a fracture point, right? So, I mean, when you listen to the campaign response and them saying, oh, our issue is not Baba Ejesha, it is the way in which we were involved. So it's that thing of oh, yeah, your tone is the problem.
Yeah, but who cares?
So that's what I'm saying.
I know. I'm just...
And it's very annoying because
it's deflected.
Yes, Iyabo had to apologize and step down because
she only apologized for the tone. And that's another thing to talk about. She's a fantastic woman, Iyabo, and forever and ever I would thank her for everything she's done. Her, and I actually didn't say a lot of what Ikechi Plessy Sunday did as well, but she was also dragged into this whole ban and boycott nonsense. But I understand her apologizing just because of the society we're in and the fact that she's a woman. I understand it fully and completely. And it's just because, again, that's the thing about women. We're always reminded of where we are, where we're coming from.
Your place.
And just how much more, she's still a young woman, she has a lot more to do. She also has things that she has to, self-interested things she needs to do for herself. So she would apologize and do all that just to make the peace so that she can still do what she needs to do. And I would still clap for her for everything she did, everything she said, all that fight that she fought for that young girl.
But she kept it in the public eye to such an extent where people then now had to take a decision.
Yes, so because I know a lot of people I'm saying this now because other people are like, can you imagine she went and she apologized? That's not what happened. You live, and we know you live to fight another day. We choose our battles.
So now let me ask you, what is the other day, right? So where do we go? Because the challenge for me, and this is one of the things where, I mean, I like listening to that whole incident, right, where spotlight, right, about the Catholic priest scandal and how it was covered so long because the assaulting priest used the imprimatur of the church to hide their wrongdoing, right? So it's the same thing about how fame is used as a cover for abuse, right? So until people stand up against, because what I would hope, for example, to come out of this is like someone like Tampan, someone like AMP releases code of conduct, right? So irrespective of, so that it is not enough, I don't think.
We don't need them. That's one thing I refuse them to do.
No, so
at this point, because if people are not ready, there are people that will be ready to do.
No, so yes, but I agree with that, and so like it's like how Gina Davis's thing has there. This is a manifesto of what you should do. However, that is a guide because the people. So, for example, if like Tampan as themselves had a thing about sexual harassment, they will not need to wait for the courts. His confession is not for them to suspend him.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? Because everybody needs to have a code of conduct that they apply to the people who are their members. Because it's a way for you to.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. When I keep thinking about it, like how dare you do press conference over the tone somebody used to tell you what you're doing is wrong? How dare
press
you?
conference on Babaja's position?
I don't recall seeing
No, I
anything
mean,
like that.
I don't know, and it's possible, I mean, who knows? But I think so. So that's the thing, right? So like, I don't necessarily think that. So this is because like that's the whole thing about distraction, right? So I think the Tampan thing is not necessarily the point. It's
a huge distraction.
Yeah, their reaction is unfortunate, and I want to put like.
But I think it's also the point, to be honest, because it's obvious. That's an example, you know, of
the imbalance of the industry.
Yes, and you know that's a reference point, to be honest, for it.
Okay. So I mean, and I guess, and this is something, and like, unfortunately for us, we are at least in Damola. Damola has been half talking. We're not really the best people. And but again, I take that back too, because it's that whole point that they used to say that like it is not only the people who are invested that should use their voice for the thing, right?
So people say it's only people that are invested that should use their voice. I don't believe. No, that's what people say. No, I also disagree.
Yes, because that's that whole famous Martin Luther King thing. Like that, he's the biggest. That the biggest enemy of progress are not the racists. It's the well-meaning white liberals who are agree with the clause, but tell you that not right now. Be silent. Don't be too angry. So like basically, your tone is wrong. Those are the people that literally.
This tone is
no, but to be honest, people that don't know. See, when you put somebody that is angry and you put somebody that is talking very calmly, even if the person is talking nonsense, everybody will say, okay, this person that is talking very calmly, the person has points.
No, but that's not true. Like,
It's very true.
Yeah, but look at Colin
It's like madman and
no, but look at
same
Colin
person.
So basically, he wanted to, when he started his protest, he said, okay, let me do something that was not loud. So he knelt down. The kneeling down then became loud. Because if you let the tone be the definition, they'll keep shifting the tone. You come in and say, excuse me, why are you shouting?
Why are you raising your hand?
Why
ask you to?
How did that work?
We ask you for questions.
Yeah. So you see, the challenge you have is that like when you let the debate be about tone, that's all the debate.
Yeah.
Because your tone will never be enough for somebody. Look at what's it called? That whole thing, and not to get into the whole Black Lives Matter of it, right? That whole thing about how did you speak to the person or the rape thing? What was she wearing? Yeah. I think like there's always a standard of what is your.
And then it's no longer about the rape. It's no longer about what the guy did. It's now like, but what were you doing there at that time? Like, what were you wearing? Why were you in his house?
And who puts those standards there? It's not the men.
So yes, and of course. So and that is the thing about power. And one of the things that is interesting.
You guys, we need the women passion.
So let me ask you a question, right? So this is an actual question. So one of the things historically about all industry, this is about life in general. The more money comes into an industry, the more it becomes menionized or whatever. That's what I call it. There's no actual word for it. Like the gender swap
masculinated.
Yes. Look at the beauty industry, for instance.
Yeah. So it's like, so there's this thing about, like all the famous hairstylists are men, most hairstylists are women. Yeah. All the famous cooks are men, most cooks are women. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. So like Nollywood is literally going through that inflection point. You can if you actually pay attention, you can actually see it happen.
Yes, and that's what, remember earlier we were talking and I said women actually need to be more visible.
Yeah.
Women know how to do the work, but we don't know how to put ourselves forward. Okay. We don't see ourselves as, we don't see the need to take credit for things. We see the need to get things done, right? And
about that to say, one person should do masterclass for all women in the industry.
But is it a masterclass thing or is it
I'm just saying that it's one person that am I allowed to say it?
Well, you're allowed to say it.
Can you please come and do masterclass for all women in the industry? So that they will know how to put them, so that they will know how to put themselves forward and not say that the work will speak for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one thing.
Yes.
So can you change?
She's doing a fantastic job. That's true. From her music days till now.
Yeah. So she built a brand and she's telling her story. Yes. And that's important, right? Because you see, one of the challenges you have is that there's this podcast I was listening to about producers, right? So the producer I was listening to, it's called The Producer's Guide or something, where the guy, so he had Kelly Coco and Sarah Schechter, right? So Sarah Schechter is Greg Berlanti's partner. So basically they produce, I think maybe 18 or 20 shows on TV. They're one of the biggest TV, yes,
all the DC,
they do you a bunch of things. Yeah. Kelly Coco, Big Bang Theory, she's now moving to producing. She produced Harley Quinn, a cartoon she produced, flight attendant of a book that she auctioned, right? So they were talking on the show, and one of them was saying, I can't remember which one said something like, oh, I have earned the right. And the host, who's also a producer, was like, you know that you're the first person on this show to say, I have earned the right. Then anybody else that comes on, they talk about, oh, this is what I did, all the men, this is what I did, this is how I did it. They don't talk about how they deserve to be there.
Yeah, you're going too far. I keep saying this thing. How many female directors do you know that did not go to film school? How many?
Well, I mean,
even very recently, should I call her name?
No,
it's not even controversial in that way. But she said, so Tony Abraham is doing, she's directing her first thing, and in her caption she wrote, "After I went to film school, I did this." How many men?
I didn't go to film school.
Yeah.
And
you sit down, you watch a few movies, you be like, I know what's going on. It's kind of like, so let me.
Kemi went to film school.
Yeah.
And I don't know actually any female. Well, I probably do.
Yeah, but see, that's the whole thing about deserve, right? And earn, and you need to prove that.
Let me tell you what. So Barbara Streisand decided to finally direct a movie when one time she was dating one guy who was a barber, and then there was one movie, and the guy basically went to go and like put himself forward as the director for this big Hollywood movie. I can't remember the name of the movie right now. And she's like, "Wait, you're a barber. What do you know about directing?" The guy's like, "What?" So after that, she was like, but if you can have this much confidence and you know nothing about the industry and you feel comfortable enough to go and do it, me that have been acting for years, can sing, can do all of this, me too, I can direct.
I really wish that we're just all raised the same. That's just the goal in this life. Like we need the way men are raised, that confidence play, and then we need the way women are raised, that selfless play.
And join it to her.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what we have married in Inkblot, so not to our own point, that's it, because, and that's one of the reasons why, I mean, technically, right, when we started this thing, there was a, who are you people and how dare you think that you can do this thing that you decided to do, right? And so we just, well, we're just going to do it anyway, and you people will decide whether we earn it or we deserve it, etc., right? So there's that part of it. But then the other thing, which is that, you see, one of the things that happens over time is that the more you do, the less that matters. In the sense that whole starting condition, like for example, right, even if Steven Spielberg did not go to film school, at this point it's relevant, right? It's almost like when you're an undergrad. Oh, I need to get a 2-1. I need to get a 2-1. It only matters for your first job, right? Once you get that first job, it's irrelevant. Which is what Ava DuVernay found when she hired all those female directors to do Queen Sugar. That whole thing of, oh no, they haven't directed before. Once they directed Queen Sugar, they are now fully booked and busy because that whole mental barrier, I know I'm going back, is the same conservative of the marketing people, where that barrier of, oh, you must have done it before for it to matter, right? And so that thing is why and it is important, the track record, and because the biggest predictor of what succeeds today is what succeeded yesterday. But also, the reason why this industry is so wonderful is that it allows new things to emerge, right? And so you have to figure out that balance, right? And which is why, like, oh, it's so funny. Somebody was asking me about I was like, aren't there tons of women's groups already? It's like, so there's always room for one more. And who knows if this one is going to be, I mean, as I say, Facebook was not the first social network, right? And it's not only that. I remember, I'll never forget, 3 years ago, I read an article that said, there is no, the rise of the whatever is closed, there's not going to be any big billion user social media platform. And after that, TikTok happened. Like literally, people always say, the conservative thing is always going to tell you it cannot be done, or it has already been done. And so this is an industry of dreamers who constantly are challenging the norm and the status quo, which is why things like the marketing thing, things like this gatekeeping thing annoy the practitioners, because we are rebels by definition, and rebels like to change situations, but like that inherent conservativeness of the structure of the industry is fighting with the people in the industry.
Yeah.
So how do you solve for that? Because IF is literally trying to bring structure to the industry.
Yes.
And that structure comes with conservatism, right? So some of that fire and some of that zest goes away. So how are you balancing? Like, that's something that you think about. So the more structures you put around, the less room you leave for the flashes of thunder, or no, we've drawn flashes, wow.
Like,
There we go.
like for us, right? So to the audience, let's throw something back at you. If there's I know we've discussed like a bunch of controversial topics here. What's your opinion on some of these things that we discussed? If it's the tampon thing, if it's even on IWF and the place of women in production and film, if it's on the place of marketing, and how do you think we should stack rank or rank stank, what they call it, how you should rank stank stack rank the
What word was that? I don't think
to
you got
stack or the rank, to stack or to rank the actors or the actresses that are in movies. What do you think is the best way? Leave that in the comment section and let us know. Because I mean that's like feedback for us, then we can take that on in future. And on that note, I think we have technically run out of time. And
No, we do, but I want to do a wrap up a little bit.
Okay, so you're on the wrap up.
Because I think one of the reasons why we decided, so normally we are more structured than this, but we wanted to have a conversation about the things we talk about
There's so much my heart to talk about.
when we're not on camera, right? Because I think that, see, Nollywood is at an inflection point, right? There are so many competing claims of what is the future of Nollywood. And we spend a lot of time thinking about what goes next. And we said, okay, all these things are controversial because they matter. Because no side is right, no side is wrong, right? You are still trying to, well, other than the rape thing, that was horrible and obviously wrong. So, but my point is like, so you see, these conversations are what drive Nollywood forward, these random, rambling things, because we all are trying to figure out what comes next. Because if you look at it from an industry's perspective, you can see that there's a change coming, right? And you can see how the industry is starting to evolve and those first shoots are coming up. And I think that it's a very interesting place to be. So embrace the controversy. Nobody should play it safe, because playing it safe means that you die, right?
Yeah.
So yes. So and I think that like some of the things we've said are going to annoy people, and that's good, right? Because and I think that it's important for us to stop being afraid of annoying people. There's this, I mean, I don't necessarily believe that you gain that everybody having the same opinions about stuff is useful for, especially for an industry that is trying to make art, right? And Nigeria forces you to conform. Actively.
And then, I mean, we've talked about conservatism all through this episode.
Yeah.
Obviously, to do anything against that, you're going to annoy
Your budget.
people. Yes. And even in the conversations we've had, at IWIF, our lunches and stuff, you know that the kinds of things we're thinking about doing, the kinds of structures we're thinking about putting in place will annoy a lot of producers, including us. Because even there's something I'm like, am I supposed to take that on myself as well? And it's like, yes, So we're going to annoy a lot of people. This conversation would annoy a lot of people. And I think that we should all go out and annoy people today, tomorrow, and next week, and for the next year. Because we need to actually change the status quo the way things are right now.
You cannot look at the way things are like now in the country, in the industry, and say that it's fine.
It's not fine.
Yeah.
It's not fine in any way. It's not.
Okay. All right, and on that happy note,
things are not fine in the industry, but they'll get better.
Oh yeah, tell your mother, oh, tell your father, you go better. Tell your sister, oh, tell your brother.
Yeah. So I guess thank you guys. This episode was basically cathartic for us. So you guys are our therapy. So we'll catch you guys next time. Peace and love.
Bye.